Woo! Hey, it's a Monday, everybody. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you to master your mindset and maximize your shmoney. Today's conversation is sparked by something that Marlon Wayans said that has the internet talking. He said he never got married because he didn't want his mother to ever feel jealous of another woman. Now, some people are calling it sweet. Yeah, aw. But some people are calling it unhealthy. But either way, it hits a nerve because a lot of women have dated a man where the mother was too involved. So today we're talking about it. What does loyalty look like? And what does emotional attachment look like? And when does a man's relationship with his mother start interfering with his ability to build with a future woman? So let's get into it. I have a beautiful panel of queens on this Monday morning or afternoon, wherever you are. Marlo Layson, TV film producer and journalist. We have Renee Williams, clinical research strategist. We have Deborah Williams. Deborah will win, one of our most favorite people. She always has been involved with this. Do you guys know that she has pretty much watched almost every episode that we've ever done? That's quite amazing. We love that, Deborah. And we also have me, little old me, Laura Lalaki, your singing international real estate agent. Queens, it is a Monday. And it's a Mondayest of Mondays for me. I don't know what it is about y'all, but this little topic actually interests me because I love my mother-in-law and she is a very big part of our lives. But I also don't feel like I take a back seat to my mother-in-law with my husband. I think we have a perfect balance. But when you first heard about, Marlon saying that this was what he was feeling about, he did just want his mom to be jealous, what was your first thoughts? I'm going to start with you, Deborah.
When I heard that, I felt really bad for Marlon because his family, his mom and dad were married and they displayed such a really strong union that I felt kind of sorry that he didn't or has not yet had that experience. He had great examples in his parents. So, why not, get married?
And Deborah, I'm right with you on that because he did have great examples. I mean, aren't his parents still living? I think their parents are still living, but he grew up in a very tight-knit family. So why wouldn't you want that for your life? And the rest of his siblings have seemed to have marriages as well. Marlo, what was your thoughts on it?
It was weird to me, and I definitely went to explore more, and it is not any less weird. We'll get into it in the conversation, but it didn't sit right with me for sure.
Yeah, it just seems a little strange for me. How about you, Renee?
What the lady said, I feel the same way. It was just a little strange, particularly from the background that he comes from. They have a strong relationship. He was raised with mama and papa. So for him to say that, I believe it's an excuse. It's just something deep down in himself that he doesn't want to move forward.
All right, family, you've heard what we think about it, but now we want to hear what you think about it. Is this a little strange? What do you think is going on here? Because, ladies, he does have children, at least one, right? We know that. And two, he has two. And he's very supportive of his children. And I do believe he also was in a very long-term relationship at one point. So to me, it just seems a little strange. Why would you not want that when you had beautiful models for that? I mean, mama had daddy. Mama don't need no two husbands, right? So does this actually sound like emotional dependency? Deborah, that kind of sounds like he's a bit of a mama's boy. What do you think about that?
Definitely. And he's one of the younger siblings. So maybe he was a little more attached to his mom or just loved his mom, very exceptionally. And that maybe he couldn't find that kind of love in a mate. But you're supposed to detach from mother and father. You don't cleave to them anymore. You're an adult now. You go forward and you build with your mate.
Yes, I agree with that. And in my marriage, my mother-in-law, and I don't even like to call her in-law. To me, she's just as much my mother as my mother was. Because I lost my mother when I was 21 years old, and my mother-in-law stepped right on in there and was like, come on over here, baby. I'm gonna need you to relax and get it together, because she lost her mother at a young age too. So our relationship is just as strong as the relationship with her and her son, but it's different boundaries. And she's always respected that, and I've always respected that. And I don't see anything wrong with that. It works for us, and it's kind of hard for me to see people struggle with this so much. But Marlo, at some point you got to ask, what's the difference between being close to your mother and being too attached to her?
It was weird because his statement was that his mother is needy, right? That's part of why he justifies this. And it's like, well, your mom has a husband and you also have older male brothers. So it really seems like this is more of a Marlon thing. This is more of a Marlon attachment thing. Even when his mom died in 2020 and he was saying that her death like took so much out of him, and he was like, oh, my girl died. But then he also, there's this weird deathbed confession where he tells her, I wanted you to be my only girl, so some things need to be left at the therapist's office, right? Everything is not for all of us to know. And that the more I read into this, because this is actually a New York Times interview that he did a couple years ago, last year, about these statements that he's made a few times. But everything, look, leave it in the group chat, leave it at the therapist's office. Sometimes the masses don't need this because it just, I didn't need this today.
You didn't need this today. I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, but now listen, I missed the point that she has passed, and you said in 2020. Okay, it's now 2026. Marlon's still not married. So what do you think is the thing behind that, Renee? Do you think that he's still holding on to this?
Again, I think it's something probably a therapist can work out. But again, he also is representing some population of Black men who use their mother as their clutch, or to say, this is my mom and I have to be there for her. I have to take care of her emotionally. And usually you see that in single mom homes. And, no matter what age the boys are, that, it's just that because that's how they feel, that their mom has struggled so much and gave so much to take care of them, that they feel obligated also to take care of her when they become into a position of money and power. So and then it's interesting, you said that he was the baby. He was the baby, last one in the tribe. So, typically the youngest one always gets all the, love from everybody. So I guess he just got used to it.
Very, very, that's an interesting take about that. I think that's another way that we can definitely look at it. I want to ask this question before we look at the video, and I would like all of our queens to answer this, as well as our viewership family. Have you ever dated a mama's boy? I'm start with you, Deborah.
Yes, I have.
The look on your face.
And mama did not like me. Oh boy, she did not like me to the point where we did not. And I was young, and that was it was an experience, because I had never experienced that before, and I felt bad for him, because I said, I thought I was a good girl, and I thought, I was okay to date, but the mom just couldn't embrace me like that. That was her baby boy. And he went through some struggles. He's been married twice. He's married now, and I'm happy for him, but because of the mom, he went through some issues.
Yeah. Now, see, but most mama's boys do have that issue, and the mama typically steps in and say nobody is good enough for their child. Marlo, have you ever dated a mama's boy?
My ex-husband was, and it's funny because his mom used to say things like, oh, that was my husband first. And, like, now she and I are close. We have a good relationship, but she would just say things like that. And so I remember when we were separating, and she and I were having a conversation, and she was like, "You really think it's over?" I was like, "Yeah, girl, you can have your husband back now, because it is a done deal. Like, everybody is moving on." But yeah, it's not easy for sure. It's definitely not easy to be in a relationship with somebody and to have, because you don't want to interfere in that relationship. That's not your place. But also, if that's where you want to be and that's the person that you want to be with, you want to understand that you're a priority. So it's definitely a little walk.
It's a little walk. How about you, Renee? Have you ever dated a mama's boy?
Of course, and mine's like Deborah's. Basically, when I dated the mom, first of all the moms still love me. I mean, they love me, but what they do is they control them to, I think, kind of like get what they want, you know. So they also, because like I said, financial dependence and whatnot. So they never hated me or anything, but they also controlled the relationship, where they're looking into what's going on and where you guys doing. Oh, I want to go to dinner too. Blah, 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 blah. So, that's, that kind of mama's boy as well. With the mama coordinating things.
I dated very young. I had my son at 16. I did date one person who was definitely, I can't necessarily say he was a mama's boy. He was definitely a parent's person. Like, he wanted to model absolutely everything about his parents. And even today, he's modeling those things, and big pretend world right there. So, and I can see that that's red flag. I ain't in it because I'm happily married. So let's go ahead and check out this video, and we'll get back into this conversation.
Never got married because he didn't want his mother to be jealous of another woman. Well, when a man does not want to be with you, they will come up with the wildest excuses, no? And I know you think that's crazy. Wait until you hear the rest of it. This is from People magazine. The quote says, "I never wanted my mother to feel second to any woman." That's weird. Wow, Erica, that's weird. It gets weirder. I bet you're wondering, did he ever tell his mom that? Yes. Those were his last words to her when she was passing away. What are we talking about? Are you kidding me? Quote, "Those were my last words," I said. "Take that to heaven with you." This man has 3 babies with 2 women, one of which he dated for 13 years. Wow. This, I would argue, is a way better explanation on why he didn't get married. The last child he had was in 2022. Allegedly, the woman filed for a paternity test, which he took. And everything he does is for his mom.
Very interesting. But listen, Renee, you kind of tapped into something that I do want to go a little bit deeper with. Now, this also, the emotional part, definitely we can kind of wrap our head around a little bit. I don't understand how you can't let go and then do a relationship. But this can definitely tap into the financial aspect of your relationship if you are married. Can you go in a little bit deeper on what you typically see or have seen in your life or seen with other friends, that how that affected them when it came to the finances?
Absolutely, because I'm one of them that it affected. Before I got married just recently, I was in a relationship with a person, and red flag. I met him and moved right in, and then I'm paying for the whatever, the apartment and whatnot, and so I was doing very well for a while, and then at a point it started declining, and then it's like he had a job when I first met him, but then all of a sudden he didn't have a job, and then his mama got involved and says take some time and some patience. He's getting himself together. I actually kind of felt like it was a coordinated scam, but I'm going to leave that alone. So it does affect the woman when you're used to having money and doing things for yourself and your child or children, and then you have a partner who comes in who seems to be put together, but then you find out they really are a mama's boy, and that the mama is really controlling the purse and trying to take care of herself. And I have had that dynamic before, and
Wow.
it took a long time.
It was probably very emotional for you as well. I mean,
Yes.
at some point we feel like we don't want to get in the middle of our loved one's relationship with their mom. I wouldn't want someone getting involved with me, but yet I also was taught that, hey, when you leave this house and you get married, that is your household. And I think a lot of us understand that, but some people just can't break away. But I do want to talk about something that the Real Black Lexicon said. And Marlo, I'm actually going to ask you your thoughts on this comment. He says there is no shame because this was a carryover from the Southern migration to the North. So do you think that this is a traditional thing that we are expected to take care of our mothers in a certain kind of way? Is this something that was tied to our roots here in America, and we know that our roots were chained?
Yeah, but I mean, I think we don't need to overstate that, right? I think we understand more than most that taking care of your parents as they get older, bringing your parents back home. A lot of people I know move their mothers, their fathers back into their homes once they get of age. They can't take care of themselves anymore. But what Marlon is saying is not that. The Wayans family is very upwardly mobile. It mama could have, if daddy died, and the article just mentions that the mom died in 2020, but if daddy died, mom could have visited everybody throughout the year, right? Could have moved around, and she could have been in one place. Everybody could have come. All of the Wayans have means. So I don't think that that's what this is at all. This is really sounds like a crutch for Marlon, a reason for Marlon, sorry y'all, to not get into relationship.
That's interesting because it makes me want to wonder. I know my husband went to school with him at Howard, and they had a couple of classes together, and he's funny all the way around. He's very grounded. He seems very grounded to me, but this part of his life doesn't seem very grounded to me, because it's strange in the fact that he knows that he has a great model in parents, but yet he didn't want it for himself. So, Deborah, do you think that some men just use their mothers as an excuse to avoid commitment?
Most definitely, yes. I do believe that. One, he's famous. He's in Hollywood. He can have anyone he wants. Um, and that could be, he could have been saying that like as a crutch. Like, I don't have to commit. I can be with whom I want to be with. Um, he's handsome. He has all the great things going for him. I don't know why he wouldn't want to settle down, but he could use those factors as an excuse as to why he doesn't settle down. And immaturity could be a part of it too. He's a comedian, he has to travel. There's a lot of different things that could be playing as a factor as to why he's not settling down with one person. He could even be growing his brand bigger if he did settle down. Partnership is important.
I could see that, and also that could, with how funny they are, if he had the right partner, they even can make that into something. Because I love looking at couples that work together and thrive together. But my husband and I do. So I mean, we work together very well when it comes musically and things of that nature, and social media. I'm on that. We work very well together. So I don't see why that wouldn't be a part of his life. But now listen. We're acting like this man has not had any type of committed relationships. What we do know is that he has been in a relationship for 13 years. So that is some type of commitment, and he does take care of his children. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Renee. Why do you think that he can commit to that relationship without putting the ring on it?
Right. Well, I know probably you have heard, and what comes to my mind, because I had my son read the book, is Willie Lynch and How to Make a Slave. And basically, this book, shows how, put forefront the Black woman, head of household, and to be dependent on the Black woman to do things. Just like they had us all run into corporate, we make the money, but they wouldn't employ Black men, right? So there's different types of dynamics that has a lot of trauma. When you said the South now brought to the North, absolutely, that's a lot of those entanglements and trauma bonds that have occurred to us as we have, gone into society and raised into this matriarchal community, not father, that it really stems to how we use Black women, or our boys can use Black women to be their crutch and be their support. And then they don't know how to take the next step for their own mental stability, and how to enter into society, understanding who they are as a man. Now, we go back to the parents and the father that they raise their children. They're with wealth and money. When it comes to Marlon, I think he just has a really good excuse as to why he doesn't want to get into marriage. Why? One thing, and I'll let it go. My grandfather always said, "Why buy the cow if you can get the milk free?"
And my mother always said that too. So and I was taught to don't do that. Well, of course, I went straight out there and got myself pregnant at 16, but I digress. But anyway, that's the way that went in my world.
I do want to say one thing. I do remember in an interview, he did state that he didn't want to ever get divorced. He did state that, and that, he wanted to make sure he was mature enough before he made that decision, and that now he's actually thinking about it. So, maybe we will get to see Marlon get married one day. But
I would be just thrilled if I saw him married with the right person. But then, I'm not the person to judge who's right, but I think that would make me happy, because he generally is a happy person. I mean, when you think of positive people, you never know what goes on behind closed doors. But Marlon has always been very open about things in his life. But the Real Black Lexicon said, and this is a good one, because Marlo, I'm going to ask you this one. His situation seems more psychological than practical. So I'm going to kind of remove it from him right now, because is this something that is affecting our community directly? Do we see that a lot? Is this something that men, and I wish we had Joe today, because, this to me feels like this is something that they would need to speak to people about therapy. Is this psychological?
I think so. And I just wanted, he was a teenager when Hollywood Shuffle came out, right? So that's the first Wayans foray into Hollywood. By the time In Living Color comes out, he's late teens, early 20s. His brothers by this point have been married and divorced. The older brothers, Damon and Keenan, have either been married and divorced, or have been married and cheating, or have been navigating Hollywood. So he's also a young man getting these cues, seeing his brothers, go from certain women wouldn't talk to them, right, when they were back in Brooklyn, to now they have their choice of women, right? So I think that there is a psychological aspect to this, understanding that he was a young teenager when his brothers found success in Hollywood, right? So it goes from mom and dad, pillar relationship, foundational, everything you need is at home. You got 13 people in a 2-bedroom apartment in the projects, cool, to excessive excess, right? And we know that the brain isn't fully developed until you're 25, right? That's verifiable fact. So if he has 10 years before his brain is fully developed of watching everything that is Hollywood, it's not hard to understand that between, women that are there for your money, women who maybe don't even care about your money, they care about the access that you have and the doors that you can open for them for their career. So I think that there may be a lot at play. So it's just safer for him to be like, nope, I'm committed to my mama. This is my woman, my girl, my lady, until she is no longer here. And now, maybe like Deborah said, maybe he will be able to examine that for himself. Maybe he will go into some form of therapy if he isn't already, to explore that, so that if marriage is what he wants, and if he does want to model that which he was raised in, he'll be able to figure out how to do that for himself.
I like I said, I hope so. Now, we do have another video I want to go to, but before we hit that video, there's been a couple of comments from our viewership family that mention, could it possibly be that he's a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and that maybe he likes an alternative lifestyle. But to me, I don't think that makes a difference or not. Am I wrong, ladies? Do you think that it matters if you're part of the LGBTQ community or if you're heterosexual?
I mean,
Yes,
he has
no?
a trans. He has
No,
a
I don't
trans
think that
child,
matters.
so I don't think that it matters. I don't think that that matters to him, right? He has been openly supportive of his child that's trans, and his talking about his support for the community, understanding that he has colleagues and people that he works with that are LGBTQ plus. So I don't think that that is a driving factor that he is into alternative lifestyle. I think he really is, a black mama boy man baby, and he has to evolve beyond that. And that's, we know them. All of us got an uncle that never left home or a cousin that never left. Like, we all know at least one adult male that has never left his mother's house or is a almost permanent fixture in her home.
Yes.
I just don't want Marlon to. I just don't want him to be old where he has, like, he's not functioning well. I don't want him to be a hold it and fold it kind of guy.
Well, at least he got money if he gonna hold it.
So I say he got money, so he can hold it, quit it. I don't think that's a worry.
I love that. What the Real Blaxicon said. I like how she said, "Man, baby." Let's check out another video and we'll be right back.
When he pointed to the fact that the devouring mother was one of the major impediments to proper human development, he knew that, looking deep into the darkest families and seeing this proclivity of the overprotective mother to destroy the developing integrity of the child, to keep the child infantile, to cling to that relationship instead of developing a life for herself and letting the child go flourish. That's Hansel and Gretel, right? You're lost in the...
Very interesting, which makes me think of a question. And Renee, I'm going to ask you this. Can a man truly lead his household if he's still being led by his mother? Because that's not just emotional, it's financial, it's spiritual, it's body, mind, and soul. Do you think that a man can truly lead his household if he's still being led by his mother?
I don't think he can. And I don't think it's really fair to the mom, to the woman, because they're hanging on. I'm from a Black woman perspective. We got your back. We'll ride or die. We're here. We're what you want, what we need, and we're doing it. And then we have this sense of hope that one day, but that umbilical cord that pulls that baby and you together, that's something you can't mess with. And it's very difficult to do that. And as a mother, when you think about your son, you're just like, well, I don't want to interrupt that mother-son relationship. He has to claim that. He has to speak up for himself, and that has to come from within himself and to analyze that. But until then, something has to be you have to push or put something in his head for him to say, okay, I need to change myself, or he said, okay, it's my mama,
Yes. And I have heard people in their other relationships. I've had girlfriends that struggle with the fact that, and I had one who dated this gentleman for 5 years. They got married. And then all of a sudden, when they got married, mama became more prominent than she had ever been. And it actually really started ruining their marriage. And what I thought was very interesting is she waited until after they got married before she really interjected herself in their marriage, to the point where she would come over, tell her she wasn't doing things right. You're not vacuuming right. You're not cooking right. My son likes this meal. You need to give him a break. He needs to, you need to do this. You need to feed him first. I know you work all day long, but so does he. He's the household head. And the son started listening to all of that, and that was a problem. So, this actually is, we're talking about men, but let's switch this up a little bit. So, Deborah, how are they supposed to handle this when their men are tied to their mother so tight? This to me sounds like it's insecure. So you're dealing with an insecure man. How, as we as women, should deal with this?
Let me tell you, my mom with my brothers, I used to say to her, we know how to change oil, we know how to change tires, we know how to get it out the mud. I was like, these sons of yours, they got to call somebody to fix something. They got to do this. They got to do that. I was like, we knew how to do everything. I'm like, what happened? It's like as if the moms and the grandmothers and the aunties just doted on the Black men. I don't know if it was a protective thing to protect them from society, protect them from white people in the world. But it went too far. It went too far, and the men are, I'm like, I'm not your mother. I had to tell my brother that one time. I was like, I'm not mommy. When my mom passed, I was, there for him. He had a stroke. We decided to bring my brother home from the nursing home. And the day before we brought my brother home to his own apartment, my mom died. And my grandmother was like, at the time she was alive, and she was like, Debbie, you have a 2-year-old and you have a 16-year-old. She was like, you cannot take on your brother. And I said, but we promised. Now I'm carrying the mantle of what they used to do. I still brought him home, but it took me almost 10 years to release my brother to be able to do his own thing for himself. I felt bad that our mom died. He had a stroke at 28, all the things, but it was just, I'm not mom, and you're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet. And so that is, I didn't even do it with my own son. My own son, he left home early. He left home as a teenager and has been holding it down. So yeah, we can't.
So did mine. Now my son and I are very close, but my son had different ideas of what he wanted in his life that wasn't like I did. There was certain, you're not going to stay out to 3:00 in the morning and then come home. I'm sorry. That's just not what's going to happen underneath this roof. Well, that's what he wanted. And he made the decision at an early age. I respect that, and I gotta go. And my son has been in very many relationships. I never get involved. I have relationships with his partners and all that stuff, but I never interject myself in that, because I think a lot has to do with the fact that I know that my son will ask me if he wants my opinion. I never interject myself without him asking me for something that he wants to know about. But I have to go back to Walterine, because I really loved her comment. We were asking about, can men be responsible for their household? And she says, no, he cannot. If he's being led by his mother, he is still immature and incapable of leading a family. I love that comment. And because this is your mama, Marlo, she's all our mamas. We love you. I want to ask you, what does that look like for a family? Can a family recover from this type of relationship? Can they work through it so that the relationship is acceptable for everyone involved?
I think the man has to accept that it's problematic. I think that without him acknowledging that his mother is overstepping boundaries, without him acknowledging that she's making his wife uncomfortable, or she's pulling him away from family activities, or she's inserting herself in family activities where just that immediate family within that house needs to be bonding, it is going to be a problem. And I don't know how they'll see their way forward, because it is such a compromise in a relationship already. I think that we look at, I can't remember, I don't know if it was you, Lala, or one of the other ladies that mentioned, is this kind of rooted in Blackness? Is this a protective thing? I think it was Deborah, about whether or not it is protective. And I did see a study years ago I read, or an essay, and they were talking about this exact thing, how black men were so vulnerable, right? A white lynch mob could run up in your house, steal your son, steal your husband, and string them up in a tree. So there is a level of protectiveness that black women have. It's a muscle that we have practiced and worked out for so many years in trying to protect them from people who are seeking justice but just want to deliver their own brand of justice. So I think that there is something there, something in our DNA that leads us to want to protect them. But I think you have to think about the purpose of a man, right? Black people are also rooted in biblical texts, right? And Christianity and faith. And if you believe in that, and you believe that a man is to go out and lead his own household, an enabled man can't do that. A boy baby man can't do that. He cannot be a leader by virtue of the fact that he is not a man. And so I think that I always say we got a lot of issues within our little 13% of this country, whatever it is, from one day to the next. And most of those things are rooted in chattel slavery and Jim Crow and Reconstruction. And, it's all baked into all of these layers of American history. And we have to recognize it and break ourselves free of it. It's not enough just to recognize it, but you recognize it in Pauline, but you don't recognize it in you, right? You recognize it across the street, but you don't recognize it in your own home. And I think that these are actions that we have to correct, because it also leads us to my least favorite thing we do, which is either whataboutism or protecting people that we need to let go and deal with the shunning of the community and whatever punishment and justice is for them. So I think that it is a double-edged sword, and it does work against us more than it works for us.
And I just want to say, as real quick, the Renee that I am today is the Renee that I was before, and I have to take onus of that too. We attract people who what's deep inside of us as well. That, so we take some of that responsibility. I'm going to take some of that responsibility, because now if a man child were to approach me today, they wouldn't even it wouldn't be a conversation. It's shut down onto my own life, because I understand and recognize that they have to deal with their own trauma and heal themselves, and I'm not the one to help them. But the old Renee was, because of what I was dealing with internally, felt like if I can help him, I'm helping myself, and then it gets real messy.
I agree with that. And but you brought on an important part. You also took responsibility of what that was for you and in your life. And what I also want to include is, now that I think about it, and this is not something that I've thought about before today's show, when my husband and I were just dating, one of the things that my mother-in-law spoke to me about was she never wanted to be a hindrance to our marriage. Like, I am so open that, hey, Mom, you can come live with us. I don't have a problem with that. But one of her very first things is, I never want to be able to change the energy in your household, because two women in a home and how things are done. She's always been very open to that. Whereas the people that I know who have problems with the mother-in-law, that's never been a conversation. And I think this should be a conversation even before you really get serious about dating someone, because you are also marrying into the family. These are conversations that people don't like to have, but must be had if you want to have a successful relationship. But we have some stats. And Lala likes stats, so let's check them out. The median age for the first marriage in the United States is around 30 for men and 28 for women, showing that many people are waiting longer to settle down than past generations. I got married at 23. The average wedding in the United States costs about $30,000. Oh, Lord, this is a subject that drives me nuts, which is one reason people delay marriage, but emotional readiness is also a major factor. I got a whole nother issue on how much money we spending on these daggone weddings instead of putting it in our financial houses. That's what I got to say about that. Studies show that married couples tend to build more wealth over time compared to single individuals due to shared bills, combined income, and long-term financial planning. And the Pew Research reports nearly 1 in 4 adults under 40 have never been married, showing how common it has become for people to avoid long-term commitment. 40, y'all? Now, listen, Marlon I'm getting ready to be 56 in a couple of weeks. He's about the same age as I am, but he's over 40. So he's proving that statistic right. Do you think this is a statistic that we're going to see get pushed back more in age? Like, I'm going to start with you, Deborah, because 40, he's already 56.
It's gonna get pushed back. Social media plays a big part, a very big part. And then also, like he said in his interview, he doesn't want to go through divorce. So in relationships, it's easier to just break up than to, when you divorce, a lot goes into that. That's death. It's a separation. You have all your things tied to one another, and now you have to separate everything. When you're dating and just living with someone, it's kind of easier to just walk away. The commitment part, be quiet, Anonymous. The commitment part it's not. Yeah, commitment is not valued like it used to be. Marriage is not valued like it used to be, unfortunately. But it should, because there's so many great benefits. And I've been married, I've been divorced. I always say I'm not going to get married again. But if I find the right person, my person that wants to build, then I would definitely do it again.
I'm grateful that I found my person so early and we work so well together. But that is something that is very interesting to me. So, Deborah, I want to see if I'm off on this a little bit. I mean, he's worried about divorce, yet his parents were married for so long. Yet he also has family members who have gone through divorce. Which takes the precedence for that for him? What do you think keeps him in this limbo? I know he's seen both sides, but at some point you got to take that leap of faith.
Oh, the California law probably is helping him decide that. You get half. You might have came in there with $2, but you'll leave as a millionaire. So that's probably but there's prenups. You could do a prenup. There's ways to protect yourself.
Ways around it. But most people act like they're afraid of prenups. Deborah, why do you, not Deborah, I'm sorry. Renee, why do you think people are afraid of prenups? Do you think that this can be fixed with a prenup for him? Because my God, we know that he could be with somebody for a long time.
I think a prenup could help. If that's what he's worried about, then also that puts a little bit of financial strain, or, the woman is probably like, okay, side-eyeing him. But if it's truly about love and commitment and building together, then a prenup should not be an issue at all.
I don't either. I think when it comes to paperwork, y'all, let's get to let's talk a little bit about this financial before we hit the next video. Listen, I don't understand why human nature in itself is so afraid to put things down on paper, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a will, whether it's some kind of arrangement, your trust, your family, your anything. What is it that we have such an issue with planning? Like, it's like we're afraid to put it on paper because it just might happen, when it's more detrimental when you don't do it. And especially kids are involved. Marlon has children. So how is this going to affect his children as well? We're going to get back into that too. But let's check out this video real quick and get back in this conversation.
needs therapy. His mother failed him. I saw that interview with, and I'm sure a lot of y'all saw that interview about him saying he didn't want to get married because he didn't want to make his mom jealous. It's giving very emotional husband. It's giving very, hey, I want my mama to be my woman, like Jody baby boy stuff. I've dealt with mama's boys before, and trust me, they ain't for the weak. Like one mama's boy I dated, for example, like everything went back to his mama. Like when I would cook dinner, he would eat the food and just look all like, I'm like, what's the matter? And he's like, Mom, why you ain't put it like this, like my mama do? My mama do this, my mama. And I'm like, well, I'm making my food my way, okay? Like, if your mom want to pass on some recipes to me, cool. But I'm going to cook the way I cook. And if you don't want to eat it, then don't eat it. Mama's boys definitely, they are built different. Everything goes back to their mom. And the sad fact is a lot of self-proclaimed mama's boys have put themselves in positions where they've lost decent relationships and marriages because of the hold that they have on their mom. Like Scrappy from Love and Hip Hop, for example. Part of the reason why Scrappy's relationships have been so detrimental is because he never knew how to put his mama in her place. Like half the stuff that Mama D was getting away with, he should have locked that down at that moment. But because Mama D looks at Scrappy like her emotional husband, and Scrappy has this unhealthy attachment to her, he has to feel like, he has to go along with what his mama is doing.
That's a whole nother can of worms. I mean, that's a really good video for us to hit on. I really would love to hear each one of your thoughts on that one, just because she kind of took it a little bit of a different direction. Yes, I do believe this all needs to be talked about beforehand. And if you see the red flags, baby, you better go on and take yourself on by the situation, because it's only going to get worse. So Deborah, I'm going to start winding us down here. I would love to hear your thoughts, especially on what she said, and what, you've really brought some really great points up. So if you can give us your final thoughts on this, and then let us know where we can find you, please.
Yes. So I believe that when you decide to get in a relationship with someone, whether it's long-term or a marriage, it should be to create your own world. It should not be what your mom wants or her mom wants or anybody else for that matter. It should be what you guys want in your relationship. You're creating your own paradise to be with one another, and everybody else has no influence in that. Just you two. It's you two against, for each other and against everyone else. So that's my take on, Marlon Wayans and being in relationships with mama boys. You gotta stand your ground. Stand your ground. I had a great time today with you guys. My name again is Deborah E. Williams, aka Deborah Will Win on YouTube. That's where you can find me. Thank you.
And number one super fan, and now on the show. And you could be too. All right, Renee, what is your final thoughts, and where can we find you, please?
Thank you. So I believe historical trauma does have impact heavily in our society. However, in today's day, we can take that and empower ourselves through therapy, conversations with our family, conversations with our loved ones, and to be able to really understand how we can be better as a community. My name is Renee Williams. Please tap into tricyclesync.com. It is an AI-powered cycle optimization, menopause, and maternal health equity. Check it out, or let someone know. It's all about us advocating for ourselves and going into the doctors with receipts and reports.
And I said a whole lot there, and you didn't hear nothing I said. I said that that is such a very important thing for our communities, to be able to advocate for yourselves. Please make sure that you go and check out Renee, because that is some good stuff that we can definitely use in our lives today. Marlo, what are your final thoughts, and where can we find you?
So my final thought, I'm actually going to leave y'all with Marlon's final conversation with his dad, and then I'm just going to leave it there. His dad, who died in 2023, Mr. Howell Wayans, at the age of 86, Marlon recalled that he asked his dad that when he grew up, he said he simply wanted to be a man. And his dad said, a man takes care of himself and his responsibilities. His family is always first. So the answer to Marlon's woes are in his father's words to him. He needs to go ahead and look over there and see how he can be a man and take care of his family and step up and lead like Mr. Howell Wayans did, and not whatever Hollywood madness he got going on right now in his mind. That said, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. That's my tag right there. My name is Marlo Layson. I create digital content, news content, current events, pop culture, whatever. And I'm all around the internet, so you can find me. I'm really, really easy to find.
Please make sure that you go and check out Marlo. She is fun to follow. Marlo, I wish I had my quick wit like you do. I love following Marlo because she come in on a comment somewhere and it'd be so quick witted. I'd be like, I didn't think of it that way. She gives me a giggle every single day. Make sure that you do that. Now, listen, before I give my final thoughts, I do want to tell you a beautiful Black history fact. This is Black History Month, and Black history is American history every single day of the year. But I have one that a lot of people don't tend to know about. Today, we're going to talk about the Owls Club, like the hooty hoo kind of owl. In the late 1930s, the Owls Club emerged as a pioneering Black women's softball team in Seattle. They clinched the inaugural Women's Washington State Softball Championships in 1938, with the final game held at a six stadium. This stadium, which opened in 1938, was located at the northeast corner of South McLean Street and Rainier Avenue, at a site that later became home to the Lowe's hardware store. So that has been turned down. In 1939, the team was renamed the Brown Bombers and continued their winning streak by securing the championship once again. In the decisive game against the Manette team, left-handed pitcher Lillian Brown delivered an outstanding performance, striking out 12 batters. This championship game took place at the Civic Field, which is located near the current site of the Seattle Center's Memorial Stadium. Y'all check out this picture. I just love this picture so much. I want it on my wall. The Owls Club's achievements not only highlighted their athletic prowess, but also underscored their significant role in the history of women and Black sports in Seattle. Now, I don't know about y'all, but them look like some bad mama jammas. I absolutely love that. What'd you say, Marlo?
I loved reading that this morning when you posted that.
I do one every day, especially in Black History and Black History Facts. Listen, y'all miss your fact, come on over to Laura. But here is my final thought. Family is definitely important. It is the foundation of how we also launch into our next generation. When something gets stuck in the cog, it needs to be talked about. There is no shame in the game of getting unstuck. And there's nothing wrong with loving your parents, but there is something wrong when that stops you from living the best life that you could possibly live. Don't miss out on love. Love is a very beautiful thing and a very key point. Sometimes you got to be a little vulnerable with it, but it's worth it when you put the energy into it. I wish Marlon nothing but love. I hope that he finds a love that knocks him over so hard that he don't know what hit him, because true love is worth it. Now, if you are looking to up your game, I got a new series this year, y'all, and it's called my Lunch and Learns with Lala. And we'll be learning things to help you up your game with your business. I just did a free training on how you can create 5-6 different type of graphics just with Canva. So if you want to know what's coming up on my Lunch and Learns, just go to my website at laurakey.net and sign up for the Lunch and Learn series, where you'll get an email knowing what's coming up, and you can pick and choose what it is that you want to learn. I'm excited about that because I love to teach, y'all. I love to teach. Now listen, today was a real conversation because this isn't just about Marlon Wayans. It's about what happens when people grow up, but never really fully separate emotionally from their parents. And when that happens, it affects dating, marriage, household building, long-term stability, and our children. And because love isn't just about feelings, love is also about boundaries, emotional maturity, and being able to build something on your own. So thank you to my queens, and thank you to all of our family. We love having you here, for being here, and thank you for watching, because you know what? Without y'all, we wouldn't have a show. Now, make sure that you definitely like and comment. And if you ain't following us and subscribing us, you know you late on that, because a lot of y'all are here every single day. So we will see you tomorrow once again at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You all be blessed. Peace out. Go be a good human. Sugar.